Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing absolutely well. So guys, in today's video, we are going to see JavaScript function based interview questions. So before starting the video, if you are new to my channel, please make sure to subscribe to the channel as I regularly post these kinds of helpful videos for all of you. Let's start with the first question for today, which is what is the difference between function statement and function expression? So these terms, that is the statement and function expressions, are very common in functions. Okay, so you should clearly know what is the major difference between a statement and an expression. So the main difference between a function statement or declaration, so function statements are also called as function declarations. The main difference between function statement and a function expression lies in how they are created and how they behave. Okay, so first of all, we are going to understand how function statements behave. Then in the similar way, we will understand how function expressions behave, and then we will see the difference between them. So a function statement defines a function using a function keyword followed by a name and a function body. So if you want to define a function statement, what you need to do is you need to write a function keyword, then the name of the function, and then the function definition body. Second point is function declarations are hoisted, meaning they are available in the scope before the code execution reaches them. So function statements or declarations are hoisted. Okay, so you always have to remember that they are hoisted, but function expressions are not hoisted. The reason being is, in the memory allocation phase, all the variables and the functions are given a space in the memory. So that is why they are hoisted and can be accessed even before they are defined. The third point is they can be used before they are declared. So because since we told that they are hoisted, then it automatically means that they can be used before they are declared. Now let's understand what are expressions. So function expressions define a function as a part of any expression, often by assigning it to a variable. So first of all, let us understand how a function expression is defined. So usually when we say that a function is considered as an expression, so for that, what we do is we create a constant or a variable. Okay, and then we assign a function to that variable. So in this case, we consider that the function is a expression. So that is what we call a function expression, defines a function as a part of an expression, often by assigning it to a variable. Second point is function expressions are not hoisted. They are only available after the line of code where they are defined. So these function expressions are not hoisted. You have to always remember that they are not hoisted, because I already told you that during the memory allocation phase, only the variables and functions are allocated memory. Okay, but not the function expressions. So since they are not hoisted, they cannot be used before they are defined. So you have to understand this, and you can clearly see the example in the function statement. The example you can consider that like directly function, and but in the expression you have to consider this function is assigned as an expression to a variable. So this is the major difference. The major difference lies in the hoisting part, that is function statements are hoisted and function expressions are not hoisted. Let's move on to the next question, which is what are anonymous functions? So anonymous functions in JavaScript are the functions that are declared without a name. Okay, so by the name only we can understand anonymous, okay, which does not has any name. So anonymous functions are the ones that are declared without a name. They are often used as functions expressions where the function is assigned to a variable or passed as an argument to another functions. So in this kind of example where you have to write a function expression, what you can do is you can write anonymous function. For example, if you see this function, it does not have a name. Okay, so this name is nothing but a parameter passed to it, but this function in itself does not have any name. So this is directly we have write the function definition and we have assigned it to the greet variable. So in this example, the function name is anonymous because it does not have a name. It's assigned to the variable greet. Anonymous functions are also commonly used as callback functions in event handlers, timers, and array methods like map, filter, and reduce. So you might have already seen that when we use these concepts in JavaScript, we regularly use anonymous functions, because in those cases we do not have to call the functions anytime. We just have to pass a function to any function. So in that cases we can use anonymous functions. Let's move on to the next question now, that is what are named functions expressions? Named function expressions are function expressions that have a name. Unlike anonymous functions, name functions expression have a name identifier that can be used inside the function body or for referencing the function itself within its lexical scope. Here's an example of a named function expression. So you can clearly understand anonymous functions were the ones which does not have a name, and name functions expressions are the one which has a name. That's it. Okay. Let's now move on to the next question. Difference between parameter and arguments. This is again a very simple question, but you know, often candidates get confused between these two terminologies, that is what is a parameter and what is an argument, and they answer it interchangeably. So let's understand what is a parameter and argument in this question. In JavaScript, parameter and arguments are related concepts but refer to different things. First, let's understand by what is meant by parameters. Parameters are the placeholder or variables listed in the function definition. Okay, so when I say placeholder or variables, so let's take this example. For example, I have a function, okay, which is sum. Okay, now this function, what it is doing is it is calculating the sum of two numbers, and here I am writing its definition, like whatever the two numbers that we have getting, we are just adding it and passing it. So n1 and n2 in this case here are what? Parameters. Okay, because these are just placeholder values. Instead of n1 and n2, you can give any name. You can even write num1, num2. Okay, it is just the placeholder values that it is expecting that two numbers, this function will get two numbers. Okay, we are just showcasing that this function expect two numbers, and based on those two numbers it is going to perform further calculation, and based on that it is going to return some value. Okay, so this part is called as what? Parameter. Okay, now let's also see the arguments. For example, if I want to call the same function, what I will do is I'm going to write sum, and I'm going to pass two numbers here, right? So these passing of numbers is only called as arguments. Okay, so when we call a function, at that time the values that we pass are called as arguments, and when we define a function, at that time the values that we pass are called as parameters. So that is why we are saying parameters are the placeholders or variables listed in the function definition. Second point is they represent the inputs that a function expects to receive when it is called, right? As I told you, they are representing the inputs that a function is expecting when it is getting called. Third point is parameters are defined inside the parenthesis following the function name. So these are the parentheses, and inside this we are passing the parameters. So you can even see this example. In this example also we are doing the same thing. We have a function with the name greet, and inside this name is our parameter. Okay, and inside this we have our simple statement where we are just writing a greet message in the console. Now let us look forward at what are arguments. So arguments are the actual values passed to a function when it is called. So as I told you, when we were calling the sum function, we were passing the actual values, right? So these are only what? Arguments. Okay, and they correspond to the parameters defined in the function declaration. So basically these arguments are only what is replacing in the parameters place, right? So when the function definition gets executed, these arguments only replace the parameters. Third point is arguments are provided inside the parenthesis when calling a function. So we have seen in this example also, there is a function greet where we are passing argument as John, which is a string, and this is also getting passed inside the parenthesis. In this example, John is the argument which is getting passed to the greet function. In summary, parameters are placeholders in the function declaration, while arguments are the actual values passed to the function when it is called. So let's now move on to our next question. What are first class function? Again, this is a very important question and many times it is getting asked. So let's understand. So first class functions in JavaScript refer to the ability of functions to be treated like any other data type. Okay, and this first class functions, you know, is kind of one of the important features only in JavaScript, because in other programming languages we do not have this behavior of functions to be treated like other data type. So let us understand, when we say to be treated like other data type, what do we mean? So this means that functions can be assigned to variables. Okay, so in other languages like C++ and around, we do not have this function facility that we can assign function to a different variable. Okay, second is passed as an argument to other function. So we can pass functions as an argument to another function. Third point is returned from other functions, and fourth is stored in data structure like arrays and objects. So let us see one by one with an example. So when we say passing functions and assigning it to variable, what do we mean? So this first example, you can see this one. Here what we are doing is we are having a variable and we are assigning this function, okay, that is function and its definition to this variable. So whenever I call this say hello, what it is going to print is, it is going to print this hello message. Okay, so this first point is saying just this only, that we can assign functions to variables. Let us see the second point, that is functions can be passed as argument to other functions. Okay, so this example is for that. So we have a function that is greet, and in this one what we are doing is we are passing another function as a parameter to it. Okay, and again inside the function definition of greet function, we are calling that function which was passed as a parameter. So that is what it is possible in JavaScript, that we can pass functions as parameters to functions. So when I call this function, first one which was like greet, and then when I pass say hello, so say hello was what? Say hello was a function in itself. So I was passing say hello to my this function that is greet, and when it is getting called, it will give me the output of hello. Moving on to the third point, return from other functions. So this is the example for that. So in this example, what we are doing, we are creating a function that is create greeter, and in this we are returning a function which is having a definition to it. So when we call this create greeter function, okay, in this way we are going to get this output which is greetings, which was written in the console log statement. So in this way what we can do is we can return functions from other functions. And the last point is we can store functions in data structures like arrays or object. So in this example here, if you see, we have an array that is functions array, and in this array what we are doing is we are storing functions like say hello and greeter. These both are what? Functions. So when we loop over this array, what we are doing is we are calling every function one by one. So when we call the first function that is say hello, it is going to print hello, and when we call the second function greeter, it is going to print greetings. So in this way we can store functions inside data structures also like arrays and objects. So this is only what is first class function, that is the ability of JavaScript functions to be treated like any other data type. Let us now move on to the next question, that is what are callback functions in JavaScript. Okay, again a very important questions. So in JavaScript, a callback function is a function that is passed as an argument to another function and is executed after a certain event or action occurs, often asynchronously. Callback functions allows you to define the behavior that should occur after the operation is completed without blocking the execution of other code. Basically, JavaScript is a synchronous language. So if we want to achieve something asynchronously, that is one after the other, what we can do is we can make use of callback functions. So here is an example. So we have taken an example of set timeout function. In this, what we are doing is we are passing a callback function which will only get executed when this condition is fulfilled. And the condition is what? That is 5000 ms, which is 5 seconds. So after a 5-second time is achieved, then only this function body is going to get executed, and whatever written inside this function will be displayed. So here the set timeout is a built-in function that scheduled a callback function to be executed after a specified time, which is displayed in milliseconds. The callback function console log high is passed as a first argument to the set timeout. After 5000 milliseconds, the callback functions will be invoked and high will be logged to the console. So in this way, callback functions are used in JavaScript to achieve asynchronous operations. So that's all for this video. We have covered a lot of important questions on JavaScript functions. If you found this video helpful, please give a like to this video and share your valuable feedback in the comment section, and let me know if you want such further videos. So, and I will bring it for you. So thanks for watching the video, and I will see you in next video.